Hello. Welcome to the channel. My name is Dale. This is my game group. Today we're going to tell you our top 10 board games. Everybody introduce themselves.
I'm Travis.
Jeremy.
Jared.
Alright, so we're going to begin now. Number 10.
Am I starting?
Mm-hmm.
Your turn.
My number 10 is Samurai Spirit. It's a co-op game. I like it better than a lot of co-op games because the choices are very simple. I should say that it's very difficult. We have yet to beat it as a group. It's one that we recently started. I think we played it about 3 times. In the game, you're samurais attempting to defend the village from invaders. Again, your choices are very simple. You draw a card, decide what to do with it, and eventually the game kills you.
It's a challenge, and there's an expansion that makes it even tougher, I think. But we have not even beaten it on the regular difficulty.
But I really enjoy it more than a lot of co-op games get bogged down with groupthink, trying to think like 3 steps ahead what we need to do to win. But this one is you draw a card, you decide what to do, and you move on.
One of its great merits is its speed.
Yes, you play it very quickly. Half an hour usually, I think, is how long we last.
Last.
Yeah, that's how long we last because we die pretty quickly usually.
Okay, my number 10, The Resistance. It's exciting. The first 5 times I played Resistance, it was the most exciting gaming experiences I felt like I'd ever had up to that point. It's a social deduction game. There's some bad guys. It's got a very thin veneer of a sci-fi theme. They actually re-released it as a Arthurian fantasy theme because the theme is really not even there really. And it's so exciting to try to figure out who's the bad guy and who's trying to manipulate the squad into doing poor choices. Excellent game. Vast amount of fun for groups.
I think it's one that gets better depending if you're playing with the same group over and over again. It actually gets better because you start to learn people's tells. Like playing with strangers, it's really difficult.
That's where the fun is, I think, though. Because you can really juke them and they don't know how you're going to behave.
That's true. I usually lose when I'm playing with strangers.
What do you got?
For number 10?
Mhm.
My number 10 is Eclipse. Eclipse is a heavy game. It will take a few hours to play, but it has a lot of meat to it. It's kind of a 4X style game where you're building your civilization, but you're also building your armies at the same time. And you explore the area around your starting point by drawing into tiles. So you're finding planets, basically, which will tell you what kind of resources you get. It has resource development, and you also build the technologies on your ships. And at the end, there is a big rush of fighting to either get to the center or conquer someone else and get those last points.
I love the
Eclipse almost made my list. The ship upgrading, and developing your fleet.
It's so good.
It's my favorite thing about that
What kind
game.
of play it? Is it like 5 hours?
It's a long game. It's very meaty. Very meaty.
I'm
Very
ready
long
for a
game.
super long sci-fi thrilling epic. We got good.
Saboteur, which is actually higher on somebody's list. So we'll talk about it just a little bit whenever we get to it. So back around to Travis.
Back to me. My number 9. I don't think anybody here has played my number 9. It's Caverna, which some of us have played Agricola.
Yeah.
Caverna is the same developer, same designer. I don't typically get all that into super meaty games with lots and lots of options. Agricola, I feel like, gets bogged down a lot because there are a lot of ways you can get cut off, and if somebody who really knows the game is playing with you, they can run away with it. Caverna, I feel like, introduced ways to sidestep that so that there are more paths to victory. But it's basically a game about farming. It also has mining and adventuring. It's very meaty. very big. It's another long game. I hope we all get to play it soon, but we haven't. Caverna.
The cave farmers.
Yeah, your dwarves, and you're building a homestead inside the mountain while also developing a farm, and
Sounds great.
it's great. I really enjoyed it.
Sounds super fun.
Yeah, my number 9, Tcow. Okay, this one's lots of fun. You're doing an adventuring scenario where you move out into the serious forested areas of Central America. You're discovering tombs and catacombs in a Mayan or an Aztec civilization. You have to dive into these ruins and try to explore them further and more thoroughly than your opponents. At the same time, you've got to place your guys and maneuver all of your explorers around and unveil parts of the map. It's a lot of tension in the game. It's very beautifully designed. The board looks great. And if you want an adventuring fix, Tcow is the one to go for.
Alright, my number 9 is The Boss. The Boss is a lightweight game. It can take over an hour though, but the rules are very straightforward. And how it plays out is in several rounds you have almost a clue-like mechanic where the outcome at specific locations is hidden, and each player holds a clue in their hand on what that outcome is not going to be. So the idea of the game is that there are cities like Chicago and Cincinnati, etc., New York, that have gang activity of some sort, and if you commit to that city, maybe there's some money that can be had, or maybe whoever goes there is going to get shot and lose one of their guys.
I really like the theme in The Boss.
It was fun.
It's a mafia theme that you don't see very often.
It was good. A lot of deduction for such a lightweight, fast game.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Alright, so my number 9 is La Dorada. Super fun game. I haven't played it in a long time, so basically you're on a raft and you're going through the jungle and people are paying money to go different ways and you're trying to get treasures, and whoever bids the most gets that treasure. Super simple, but fun.
That was. Is La Dorada, is this the one where we're all moving together as a unit? Yes.
Yeah.
That's a really unique mechanic.
Oh yeah.
There's one movement piece on the board, and everybody is vying for the chance to decide where you go as a group. That really sets it apart from other games. I really enjoy it too.
Are you bidding with money?
It's a great game.
I forget how the
Yeah,
game
it's
works.
The
like,
bidding is a little bit like a Ticket to Ride like system where you get colors, and if you can collect multiple cards of a color, then that's a stronger bid towards a specific move. So if you want to go along a mountain path, you got to get those brown cards, which are the yaks, and
Okay.
get
Yeah,
you
get
to
the
go
brown
in that
cards.
direction.
What's it called again?
Isla Dorada.
It was a little
Have you not played that one yet?
No.
Alright,
We're
we're
gonna
gonna
play
play
that
that
one. We're gonna play that one, yeah.
Number 8.
Oh, this is back to me. My number 8 is one that we just recently started playing, but I really enjoyed it. Maybe because I beat everyone. It was Cargo Noir.
Mhm.
I really liked the mechanics in this one. It's a lot different from a lot of things. It's sort of a worker placement game.
Also bidding.
But it also has this strong bidding mechanic. And there was something I liked a lot about the way that the game just keeps cycling. You can actually continue bidding on one space, just round after round after round. There's a lot of room for outbidding other players and just sort of just mean undercutting everybody else. It's very cutthroat. But essentially, it's you're different like cartels trying to smuggle goods, and there's a lot of amassing wealth and then using that wealth to muscle other players out of the game. And I can't wait to play it again. I thought it was great.
It does feel like they put an engine into place. It just starts churning and moving, and as each player goes around, you're keeping this system moving and moving.
Yeah, it doesn't have like you determine the first player, but after that point, the game just keeps chugging along. There's no do around and reset. It just keeps going, and I really enjoyed it. I think it had some mechanics that I haven't seen before, so I'm really looking forward to playing that one again.
Good choice. My number 8, Nevermore. This one's a lot of fun. You are there's black magic and white magic spells, but mostly it's a card drafting game where you're using these different, I guess they're resources, kind of, and you have to gather up all of one certain type of a card, or you can really try to go for the moon and get one of each kind, I think. And eventually someone can turn into the raven. And there's some prickly rules where you can transform back and forth into a human or a raven. But it's like a game where you're trying to oust the other players by getting rid of their life points. And I guess it's kind of hard to describe, but it's got a really nice look to it. And it's a great fast-paced drafting game for crowds. And it's pretty light, but I just like how there's like quick spell usage and everything.
That was a bit of a crowd pleaser. We got people to play that who aren't normally into the heavier games, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, fast choices, quick and easy, and a great thing.
Yeah, definitely.
My number 8 is Power Grid. It's not a game I currently own, but it's something that I will be picking up soon. It is a basically it's kind of like a worker. No, not really worker placement. You're sort of developing your engine as far as how much power you can generate. How do you get the resources to power your power plants, to power what you can do. It's been a little while since I played it, but it's definitely on my top 10, and I will be picking it up soon. You guys like it?
I really liked Power Grid the couple times that I played it. It's a little bit mathy.
Yeah, my one play was.
See, yeah, I was gonna say math.
There is some math involved. It resembles Ticket to Ride a little bit in that you're dealing with a big map of the United States and sort of trying to control portions of that.
Good choice.
Anything else to say about that one?
Yeah, you kind of have to see it to really see how it all works
definitely.
out.
It is a solid game. I definitely enjoyed every time I played it.
Sounds awesome.
We should break it out at some point. It's a classic. That one's been around for a little while.
Alright, Jared?
Alright, my number 8 is Not Werewolf.
Oh.
And it's a super good game. A lot of the games I have on my list are actually trader or one person out type deals. And this one, you basically, all of you have a role, but one of you is a werewolf. And the other players are just trying to figure out who's the werewolf. You have certain powers. Did you have an expansion, or was?
Yep, the game has expansions, which adds more kind of different interactions.
Yeah. And you're just trying to find out who's the werewolf before the night's over with.
Yeah, you have to unfold the layers of what people did, and then you can really sort of back it up and sort of place who's misbehaving.
Yeah, kind of put the clues together.
Yeah,
that one's actually based on an old just pen and paper game that was developed by some professor at some college.
Yeah.
But
it's the resistance. It's like the heritage.
Resistance very much came about because of Werewolf.
And again, just like Nevermore, we had a lot of players who
Like
don't like playing board games, and they were really into it. It was super fun. You know, I actually had my mother here. She was having a good time. Good time.
You can reset the game in like a minute flat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, number 7. Let's go.
My number 7 is, I guess, probably the first deck builder that's come up. Thunderstone. Wait, is it on your list?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh,
We'll talk about it then.
Sorry.
Never mind.
Sorry.
Moving on.
Okay.
I wrote epic.
Oh, all right.
Oh, well, that's
Oh.
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Move on. Move
My
on,
number
move on.
7 is X-Wing Ventures.
I thought we weren't including CCGs and things.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's alright. That's
Sorry.
alright.
Sorry.
It doesn't
Okay.
matter. That game's awesome.
I would have put it on my list if I thought I could.
Alright. It's a miniatures skirmish tactical game. I really like it. It has like the spatial element where you have to eyeball how your ship's going to maneuver through these asteroids. You have to decide how your ship is going to whip around the corners and attack everybody. It's a deep rabbit hole. You can get all the different ships from the Star Wars universe, but you can also play with a few ships and have a really good time. It's fast-paced and fun with some dice chucking, and it's a thrill a minute sort of a game because you are finally attuned into whatever's going on at every moment.
They did a great job translating the dogfighting from Star Wars movies into this tabletop experience, and the models are fantastic. They're you could put them on your shelf and you would be.
Travis is number 1.
Which you can also throw a lot of money away on this game. I personally haven't bought into it, but I have a friend who's spent tons of money on it, so I can just go to his house and play it
Great,
and have a good time.
we got it.
My number 7 is Libertalia. Libertalia is combines several different ideas. It has a little bit of variable powers. Each person has the same set of characters out of the full list of 30. And in each game, you don't necessarily use all of your characters that you get. So from one person to the next, it could vary. But the idea of the game is that there's a bunch of days of the game that you play through.
Pirates.
And yeah,
Pirate
and
thing.
there's a little bit of a bidding too, because you secretly bid which of your characters, some of which are a higher bid, in order to get the result of the day. So sometimes if you slack on a day, you're going to get bad. You may get cursed, or you may get a lot of points through the money. And I really enjoy it because I feel like the different character powers have interesting interactions, and a lot of times just it comes up a little bit different because there's so many different combinations of when you draw the characters. And
That's the first game I played with you.
oh yeah,
Yeah, every time. I was wearing my pirate shirt.
that's right.
Libertalia was good.
I've
That
actually
was a
never
fun
played
game.
that.
You never got to play that one?
I've never
It was
played
fun.
that one.
I
That
liked
sounds
it.
awesome.
I did like it.
Alright.
Alright, my number 7 is Small World.
Mhm.
Small World is a great game. It's basically Risk, only you draft race rolls and class rolls and you put them together and they give you powers. So a lot of the powers just give you super awesome, I mean, like, if you want to go into the water, then you draft what was the water?
Merman.
Yeah.
There were
Krakens.
Lizard
Yeah, there
Lizard.
were Krakens.
See, Krakens were the underworld small world. There's actually several small worlds. There's
Yeah,
the
the
underworld small
expansion.
world, and that one had the Krakens in it, which we played that one more recently. I haven't played Small World in a long time. But it's super fun, and it's pretty light. If you like Risk, then you'll love this game. You can take over people's, you're just battling for space, and whoever has the most space wins. That's simple and easy. You just get, powers, and they allow you to place more people. Or go into the water and battle there.
The adjective with the race, like you could have like undead elves.
Undead elves, dwarf,
It's always random.
knots or something like that.
Yeah,
can't
it's
remember.
basically two tiles that get randomly stuck together, and so you'll have a race that already has some inherent power, given some extra power, and it leads to a lot of like fun scenarios. And then you sort of you draft those and use them to try to take over.
You use several armies during the game, so if one of your guys is getting stomped, like you can sort of add on a whole other army to refresh your power.
Yeah, you don't get stuck with the same army every time. You go through different armies as you go. You
I feel like there's always a chance.
yeah. There's always a chance to come back. Super good game.
Number 6 is.
My number 6 is on someone else's list. So
Oh, again.
My number 6 is also on someone else's list.
Oh, again.
Okay, well, my number 6 is Dominion. And I think this is the original deck builder And after having played a lot, I think that it's probably my favorite deck builder if you have to play quickly and if you want a kind of evolving experience over many games. I did like Thunderstone also, but Dominion really gets to the heart of different mechanics, and every card has a different impact on the game. So we really enjoyed it. We played it mostly in a different group, but I had hundreds of players.
You've also played a lot, like with other groups, like completely separate from this group.
That's right.
Jeremy has a lot of experience with Dominion.
It's
Hundreds of games under his belt.
It also has a really great app. I played the app a lot.
Yep, and they have. Are you talking about the one, the online game?
Just
on
iOS.
PC?
Just iOS. Yeah.
Yep, they do, and you can also buy the all of the sets individually or together, and you basically own it online. You can play online. I've heard it's pretty good. I haven't gotten much into it, but
It's a game that can change a lot based on the expansions that you use, and even just in the core game, the cards that you choose to put out there.
yep, they
To
have a
use in
big
the
impact.
playfield. And it was the original deck building game. I mean, it kind of pioneered the whole genre.
Yep.
Very nice.
That's a good game. I got a little sick of it, honestly.
Play
A little sick
anything
of
too
it.
much.
You get sick
You
of
can
lots
wear
of
it out.
things.
Okay.
Alright, so my number 6 is Epic Thunderstone. Not just
Now we're
Thunderstone,
going to talk about
Epic
Thunderstone.
Thunderstone. Thunderstone is a great game where you build your town and you draft cards from your town. It's a deck builder. You have your original hand and you're going to a dungeon to fight different levels of monsters, this and that, and then finally you get to the last monster. He's the boss monster, and you gotta beat him, and you get the Thunderstone. It's not cooperative, but it kind of is at the same time. But Epic Thunderstone is actually a little bit different. You take all the cards and just kind of mix them together, and then you make your town hall of that instead of just like, just a certain type of card.
Thunderstone is also a deck builder. It kind of took what Dominion started and transposed that onto your standard fantasy RPG. You're acquiring heroes and spells and weapons, and then using those to attack monsters in a dungeon and try to work your way through this dungeon. Epic Thunderstone, though, is sort of a modification of that game, where rather than having pre-selected items that you can choose from to build your deck, you're shuffling all these things together. If you want the rules for Epic Thunderstone, I would suggest looking up the Dice Tower. Their rules. Tom Bassel goes through how to make this happen. And it's some of the ideas in Epic Thunderstone do very much improve the core game of Thunderstone, especially the way that you set up the monster deck so that you're going from weak monsters to strong monsters rather than having strong monsters come out right off the bat.
Yeah.
It has more of an RPG progression, which I like a lot.
Give it a try. It's very good.
Yeah, quick comment about the pile. So, as Travis said, the Epic version breaks away from the normal pattern. So most of the deck builders have a pile of cards that are all the same card. So if you're looking at a card called King, for example,
That
all
whole
the
stack
piles-
is going to be king.
yeah, and so when somebody buys one, the next person can buy the same card, and they just take the next card off the pile. The Epic version definitely...
With Epic, you break it up into like, this is a pile of spells, and so if somebody buys that top spell, you don't know what the next one will be, you just know that it'll be a spell.
All right,
And so on.
Do those dungeon crawls.
Yes.
Lots of fun. It's like being at the bazaar and you've got the whole choice. You're at Baldur's Gate. You can choose anything to use for your adventure.
I definitely prefer Epic Thunderstone to regular Thunderstone.
Oh, yeah.
I just put regular Thunderstone.
By a mile.
No.
So,
no.
what number are we on?
Number 5.
Number 5. My number 5 is on someone else's list.
Oh.
So moving on.
My number 5 is also on someone else's list. Let's
Hey.
look forward.
What?
Do you have a number 5?
I do, and it's not marked out or anything. So my number 5 is Letters from Whitechapel.
Ooh.
This was very high on my list since when I got it, which is a couple years back. It is based off of the Scotland Yard type gameplay, where one player is moving in secret. They call it a hidden movement type of game, and keeping track of their movements on a sheet that no one else can see. The other players are trying to track down and figure out what they're doing, and they want to be able to stop that player from getting to their destination.
And slaying people.
That one player is Jack the Ripper, and he's murdering ladies of the night, and the other players are detectives trying to track him down. Right?
Yep.
Yep.
And so I really enjoy it because if you are Jack the Ripper, the one player who's moving in, in hidden, there's a lot of pressure to not mess up, because one wrong move towards one of the investigators may be it. He may be over. If you can get surrounded, the game's over. And you play over 3 nights, so like even at the beginning, you don't want to be the one player who lost in that first night. Now on the other side of it, it's completely different. You're not really pressured or anything like that, but it has a very good deduction element. You are picking up clues of where the Jack player was before, and it's sort of like you're following him. And was Jack just there, or there's questions that come up, and you can talk about it as a group. And if people have different strengths and deduction, it can be a teamwork element too.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoyed it.
Whitechapel's great.
Alright, mine is on somebody else's list.
Oh.
Moving on to
Well, my number 4, Jared had it on his list. It was Saboteur. This game, it's basically just a deck of cards. It's cheap. It's easy to set up. Essentially, every player is a dwarf miner. You're trying to dig for the gold.
Are there any dwarves that aren't miners?
They're kind of all, they all come from
Some
under
are
the
Some of them are blacksmiths.
They're bards.
Some of them are
Some
blacksmiths.
blacksmiths. Yeah, some might
Okay.
swing axes.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Max or 2.
But in this game, you have your cards, and you're essentially building the mine as you go. On your turn, you will play a mine card, and you're developing a path. The ultimate objective is to get to the gold at the other end of the table. But someone amongst you is the Saboteur, and that person may start playing cards that you may have some dead ends, or they may start like turning the path in strange ways to try to get you to not go to the gold. It's one of these games where there's a hidden role. You don't know who the Saboteur is until late in the game. It's one of my favorite hidden role games. It's also a very simple, easy to teach, easy to learn game. It's a crowd pleaser.
Yeah, fun factors through the roof.
Travis is always a saboteur. He's always a spy. It's
yes.
always him.
Anytime there's a
always.
hidden role, I get it. I'm always the bad guy.
Always.
Never fails. Never fails.
Okay, my number 4 is Legendary Encounter, the Alien deck building game.
Oh, that was fun.
Oh,
I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
We played a lot of that one.
We all love the Alien movies.
I'm a huge fan of that one.
It's a notoriously difficult game, but we beat the first 3 scenarios, so beat the first 3 movies. And
Did we never finish the 4th one?
No, we never even tried.
We should probably get back
Oh
on
my
that
god,
one.
we should try that.
By a weird stroke of luck, I laid the killing blow on the final alien in all 3 of those games.
That was a good
And
time.
that made me like it even more.
Yeah.
So good.
You
So
have
good.
this suffocating feeling that these aliens keep on coming through the tunnels, and you have to somehow manage it. And the team really has to really work together. You're lending your abilities to other team members when it's their turn. Everybody, it's fully co-op. You're always trying to participate fully together to try to handle this situation. It's very claustrophobic. They did a great game of not knowing when something's going to jump out of the shadows, and when it does, there's always this collective gasp, like, how are we going to handle this? We played it a lot of times. It's got a lot of challenge, and it's got a lot of rewards.
This is another deck builder, which comes again from Dominion, but this is the only cooperative deck builder that we may see on this list. I'm not 100% sure about that.
And
But
it's beautiful. All the cards
Gorgeous.
look great.
very nice.
Such a good game.
The art is nice.
They trap the movies very well.
It's actually based on the legendary. The first legendary game was based on the Marvel universe, right?
Right.
And since then they branched out. They have the Alien license, the Predator license, etc.
It was great.
It's very enjoyable.
Like that one a lot.
My number 4 is on someone else's list.
Oh.
Okay.
All right, my number 4 is Spectre Ops.
Oh, I was wondering if that was.
So basically, it's like Letters from Whitechapel, but you have one player who moves in secret, and then you have all the other players who are trying to find him, and he has powers, can throw smoke bombs and all this, and you're basically just trying to kill him. He has hit points. You're trying to reveal him, shoot him, do whatever you can. You have several different characters to choose from to hunt him down, like what's the werewolf's name?
Is the Beast.
The Beast, and he can sniff, and he can, look around in 4 spaces and see where you've been, and, he can run up real close and hit you for a bunch of points and all this, and you have other characters just like that. It's really good.
All the character powers are very different. It takes Whitechapel and puts it in like a cyberpunk setting.
Oh yeah.
It's sort of like Metal Gear Solid, or I don't know.
Your palms are sweating if you're the hidden spy.
Yeah,
You can feel the net,
yes.
net getting tighter around you, and you
Right.
have to use all your skills at the right moment to try to bust through that net that they're forming.
And even better, if you have
5 players.
5 players,
Yeah.
you have 2 agents, which is what the hidden player is actually called.
The one's a traitor.
But
One of
one
those-
is, he's a part of the regular guy's crew, and you are the traitor, and you just kind of throw him off. And then finally you get to flip over and be a hidden agent. And it keeps you on the edge of the seat, like, completely.
If your group is prone to AP though, analysis paralysis, like the box says 90 minutes, but we have like 3-hour game we're only halfway done with, because if you
Yeah.
really think about it too much, it should be a more like fly by the seat of your pants, like try to quickly escape game to make it like bash it out and have a good time with it in a
That
real
was kind of our fault, though. I mean,
I know,
that
but-
was as much our fault.
Yeah,
as
we
it-
were over talking it.
The one complaint I do have about that game is that the rules are a little too vague in
Yeah.
places.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there are a lot of powers, individual character powers, and there's no errata in the rulebook to say this power works like this. There's a lot of interpretation and Google searching, trying to figure out how we interpret that particular rule.
Just gotta make it up on your own.
Yeah.
So hopefully at some point they'll release like some errata to take care of that. But at this point, I mean, it's still a great game, but expect to have some debates about what the rules mean
Definitely.
here and there,
Definitely.
like we have. Where are we at?
Number 3.
3.
My number 3 is on someone else's list. Moving on.
My number three is Valley of the Kings Afterlife. This is a
That's a good
fast, it takes about an hour in a group of 4. You are
Another deck builder.
Yeah, it's
Another
a
deck
deck builder, but it also has the added mechanic of choosing when to actually use your powers and keep them in your deck as functional cards. Alright, anyway, you're deciding when you want to use your cards as points. So once you entomb them and put them in your tomb, it's based in ancient Egypt, then you don't get to use them as their card powers anymore. It has some take that elements where you're doing battle with the people around you. It's like you're drafting your cards from a pyramidal set of cards in the middle of the table, and the combination of the card powers and the edge of your seat sort of deciding when to use the cards for their several different roles is what I really like about it. And I like that it's fast and light and easy and fun.
It's not that easy though. Like
Well, I mean, the decisions you make on your turn, it can.
making that decision to entomb that card, which each card has its own powers. Once you entomb that card, you can't use it for its powers anymore. But that's also very important to your in-game score. So there's a lot of
Set collecting.
Yeah, you're trying to collect sets of cards. You're trying to decide, okay, I don't need this card anymore. I need to go ahead and entomb it now so that I get more points at the end of the game.
You do have to kind of decide on your turn what you're going to do by evaluating a lot of things that are going on the board. But once that is all clear to you, the puzzle sort of solves itself, and you decide, bam, 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 here's what I'm going to do with the resources at hand at this moment in order to get the most points at the end of the game, and also how to screw over my competitors.
It's deep. As far as deck builders go, like it's got some very unique mechanics. That I enjoy.
It has a flexibility in how you play each of your turns. So that's kind of what Travis and Dale were talking about as far as how do you decide to use your turn. So it may be more difficult to make the decisions, but it allows you more flexibility, and you can do things that you can't do in other games. Like in Dominion, sometimes what you have on your turn is almost predetermined. You're gonna buy that gold. That's the best thing you can do. And you might not even have to be there for someone to just say that's what he's doing. But in Valley of the Kings, you do have that flexibility.
Entomb them fast and entomb them deep.
I always find that I get to the end of that game and I don't have enough points. Like everybody's just trounced me because they've been entombing cards that I've been hanging on to because they have some strong power that I want to use.
Yeah, it does have a lot of depth to strategy, but it's easy to teach. Maybe that's what I mean.
It's a good game. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So my number 3 is Lord of the Rings, the card game, and this has to be on my list just due to how many times I've played it. We have played it almost with the same group. I don't think Dale has played it with us. It is playable with 4. It has some issues expanding from up to 4 players. Normally it's a 2-player game, but its strength is definitely that you can make your own deck, like Magic the Gathering style. Gives you a lot of flexibility in how you design your strategy that you're going to play with. Different players can manage certain responsibilities in the game. And the scenarios you play through, which is based on the Lord of the Rings stories, are very thematic, and each scenario, we haven't played more than one scenario that is really the same after years, and there's dozens and dozens and dozens of scenarios out now. So
it's not, every game's not just beat Sauron and win the game.
No. It actually it follows. It's really rich in the lore, the characters. Each scenario is just like one tiny piece of the Lord of the Rings lore of the books.
Yeah, and actually, they do have saga versions which follow the movies and the trilogy. But the basic premise of the game is that all of the events, normally in the scenarios, are in the time period between The Hobbit and the Fellowship of the Ring. So you have sort of a lot of the same characters, but the game designers are introducing things that could have happened that were never written that way.
Is it all hand-painted original art, or is it like art from the movie?
No, it's not art from movies. It's hand-painted original art.
Okay.
And it's high quality too.
Oh, it's very high quality.
Nice,
But this is an LCG. This is kind of like XWing that we talked about before, and this is a game that you're going to buy sort of pieces of. You'll buy a starter kit, and then from there it's up to you. Do you want to buy every single expansion that comes out? Do you want to just be selective about it?
We've got to try it. I'm ready to try it.
Yes.
Oh, it is an excellent game, and there are certainly there are times that we've gotten absolutely destroyed.
And we got really stumped on the trolls.
The trolls.
The trolls stumped us so hard, and the eagle with the weird
I don't remember. Yeah.
The healing. The eagle was weird.
One of the scenarios, you actually find an eagle and you have to heal it somehow.
Yeah.
You have to find these like healing leaves. So yeah, every game can be different.
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Let's go where eagles dare. Number 3.
All right, my number 3 is Snowtail.
Hey, that's on my list.
Is it?
Yes.
What number?
That was my number
I-
6. Did you have it on your list as well?
No.
Oh.
So you're number 6.
Oh,
not
just-
your number.
No.
Just
Well-
us, huh? Okay.
Well, Snowtails is a very awesome game. You basically play as, what are they called?
Dog sled.
You're
Dog sled.
in a dog sled race.
Yeah, you're in a dog sled
It's a
race.
racing board game, which you don't see a lot of.
No. But you're trying to make it through the track, and you're like adding cards to one side or the other of your your snow sled with your dogs, like your dogs are going this fast on this side or this fast on that side, and you're trying to take curves and pass people up.
Yeah.
I mean, you're trying to make it to the finish line before everybody else does with your dogs. It's
a little bit mathy. You have a hand
Yeah.
of cards, and each card has a number value. And if you have both the same number values on your dogs, then you're going to go straight forward. But if you have any difference between those numbers, then you're going to have some turn to one side or another, as well as a break in the back. But it's a racing game. You build at the beginning of the game. You set up your track that it can vary.
Yeah, you can.
There are segmented pieces that you put together to build your track. Everybody starts from the same point, and it's just first to the finish line wins.
There should be an expansion with loop-de-loops.
It's a little similar to Formula Day, which is an older game that also uses board game mechanics to recreate a race situation. It's a race simulation. That's a lot of fun.
I'm sorry.
What do we got?
Number 3. It's fun.
No, we're on number 2 now.
Number 2.
Oh god, it's back to
Number
me
2.
again.
Here we go.
Number 2.
Okay, my number 2, I think this probably came up on somebody else's list. It's King of Tokyo and or King of New York.
That's my number 6.
I included both on my list as the same entry
Yeah.
because it's more or less the same game. King of Tokyo came out first. It's a game about giant monsters, Godzilla style, fighting for dominance in Tokyo. King of New York came out later. It's a bit meatier version of the game. I feel like I wanted to put both on my list because if you're playing with like some noobs who've never like really played board games very much, that one's going to be easier to teach. But if you've got some time under your belt with King of Tokyo, King of New York adds so much meat to the game. But essentially, it's kind of like Yahtzee.
Pretty much.
And then you're just rolling a big handful of dice. You keep what you want, you roll the rest again, and then you keep what you want, and you roll the rest again. That's it. That's your whole turn. And you just decide what you do with those dice. But you're giant monsters fighting for dominance. It's simple, but also just really deep and a lot of fun.
Oh, it's a great game, yeah.
Yeah, the interaction works really well because one player has to be in Tokyo or New York.
It's King of the Hill.
Yep, King of the Hill. And so that player is racking up points for keeping that hill every turn, but they have to survive. You can be eliminated if you run out of health.
If you die, you're done.
But also being there, they actually attack everyone else when they roll the claws. But everyone else who rolls claws hits them. So you have to kind of, and you can't heal yourself while in Tokyo or New York.
Right. So you eventually, if you're taking too much damage, you have to step down and let somebody else take over while you try to heal up and then get back in.
It's a great party game that will appeal to a lot of different groups. There's card powers that let you upgrade your monster and make them even tougher. You collect energy points from your different destructive efforts that allow you to buy these powers. And you can just demolish the entire city, and in the meantime, demolish all of your monster enemies. It's great.
Yeah, and it was also my number 2. I just put King of Tokyo. I like a lot of things about King of New York, but I think I like the upgrade cards better in King of Tokyo.
I think King of Tokyo does have cards that are more like straightforward and obviously beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, King of New York adds some meat to the game, but then also sort of like maybe dilutes it a little too much. I'm not really sure which one is my favorite.
Well, they're both great, and they both
but
kind of fit.
and they have great art, just these amazing character designs.
T-Rex as a sheriff.
The
What
sheriff T-Rex,
else do you need to say?
the whale with it in the diving suits with
Yeah.
an entire boat like as a weapon.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 2 is 7th Sea, the card game. This was a collectible card game, and none of you guys have played it, I guess.
Oh.
You can play it with multiple players, not just 2. You have 5 different cards in the middle, which represent the seas, and then there's a proverbial 6th sea, and then the 7C, which is like Valhalla or something. And what you do is you move your ships, which are little miniatures or whatever you choose to place on the cards, between the different oceans, and you can also put other ships out into service in those oceans to attack the other player. And what's really unique about it is that each card is a melee attack, and it's also has a card function. So when you jump over the railing to attack the other pirates, suddenly your hand takes on a totally different patina, and you're doing this fast card interplay where you do punch, kick, slash, dodge, parry. But all during the rest of the time you're playing the game, your cards have various card powers and they're pirates, and some of them are really good at like cannon usage. And if you can maneuver your ship into the different seas where your enemies are, you can just blast them out of the water with cannons and rule the oceans. And they also spun it off into a role-playing game, and I think that they just recently optioned the franchise or sold it, and so they're going to maybe start producing games in that universe again. But it's a great rough and tumble pirate game, fast, with a whole lot of things going on, and it was a collectible game, so there were about 7 or 8 different captains that you could do. One was an undead captain that was really cool. You can upgrade your ships by putting mastheads on them and giving them extra powers. And it really, aside from Magic the Gathering, it was the collectible card game that I played the most. And
Is it still in print? Is
No.
it something you still get a hold of?
I got it on eBay. And I gave all my cards away to a friend at a festival. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It was super
Wow.
super fun though. I wish I would have hung on to it.
Alright. I learned something.
It's great.
I learned something. Move on.
At King of Tokyo.
My number 2 is also on somebody else's list.
Here
It's
we
number
go.
1, I guess.
We had number one. Alright.
Here we go.
It's all three of us are gonna have the same thing.
No,
I
I'm
don't
number
know.
2.
I don't know that mine is on anybody else's list. This was near and dear to my heart. Settlers of Catan. If you're watching this video, you've probably played. You know what Settlers of Catan is, right? You can buy it at Target now.
Don't do it.
It's
Don't
do it.
you should though. It's
Don't do
perfect. It's a perfect game. Settlers of Catan. This was it was the gateway drug for me. I mean, this is what introduced me to this whole world of like I don't know what you even call them, Eurocentric alternative board games, whatever. It's also, I mean, if it wasn't for that game, this game group probably wouldn't exist as it is. I mean, that's how I met Jeremy. for
That's
instance.
true.
Oh really?
But
Where-
it's such a perfect game in my opinion. It's simplistic, it's easy to teach. There's a lot of strategy involved, but also a random element with dice rolls. But it's not just roll a dice, move around the board. There's actually, you're making decisions, spatial decisions about where to place your settlements, where to build roads. I love it. It's one of the few games that if somebody says, hey, let's play Catan, I, without a doubt, yeah, I'm definitely going to play Catan.
Yeah, and one interesting comment is that Catan actually does what Monopoly tries to do well.
It's like,
It
it's
has
kind of like
trading, it has dice rolling.
perfect version of Monopoly, yeah. It's, yeah. I still love it. I'll still play it anytime.
I give it a hard time, but it's a really good game.
Jared just hates it because we played it too much back in the day.
And I won most of the
He
time.
did. He did win most of the time.
Did you?
I did.
He won a lot.
I ruled.
He won a lot.
Okay then, my number 1, Dead of Winter.
Woo! Yeah!
Okay.
Dead of Winter was on my list.
Mine too. Number 2.
Okay.
Alright, so this one kept it off for me because
That's my number 3.
you have a group who's trying to survive in this universe that's been overrun by
It's
zombies.
a zombie game.
Yeah, you have to carefully manage your abilities. You've got to decide whether you're going to go to the grocery store, you're going to go to the gas station. You've got to gather up your supplies. You always feel like you're scrambling for the resources you need to live. More people keep coming into the encampment. You somehow have to keep everybody alive with enough food. You've got to have enough ammunition. You've got to make sure that you're managing everything properly to even get to the end of the game. And then when you get to the end, there's always a traitor. And somebody, to actually win the game, you have to finish your own personal objective and also win the group objective. So it adds another layer of difficulty. There was one game where by the skin of my teeth I almost won, but I didn't have one like T crossed, and I couldn't win my personal objective And so it was just like everything fizzled down at the end, and I couldn't claim the win.
Well, it's a cooperative game, but every player also has their own secret objective they're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, somebody may be a traitor. You don't know that there's a traitor, but somebody might be a traitor.
It always feels like there's one because it's a world of danger, and scrambling for resources is something that I really like to do in games. It makes it really edge of your seat kind of entertainment. You have to always worry about what's around the corner, and every step that you make seems important because every choice could lead to your doom or the winning conditions.
Plus zombies.
Yeah.
Zombies.
That's a good one. So my number one game is Pandemic Legacy.
Ching, that was my number 5.
I think, is that on all of us?
Yeah.
Alright, that's on all of us.
I was wrong.
That was my number 5.
That was number 5. Dead of Winter was number 5. Number 2 for me was Pandemic Legacy.
Okay.
Yeah.
We all like
We,
really
we
good
played
game.
this one
Such a
as
good
a
game.
group.
Yeah.
Such a
And
good game.
let's, right out front, if you don't have a dedicated group of people to play with, you probably don't want to
Don't wanna
touch
play it.
this.
Don't want to
Yeah.
play it, no.
You're
Well,
talking session after session after session.
Yep,
It took us
and,
over 2 months of weekly plays to do.
so this is probably a little bit like Thunderstone in that there is a different version of the game that you probably should play if you're not playing a weekly game group.
Well,
And-
Pandemic itself
Pandemic
is
itself.
another like sort of classic board game. I think it's another one that's kind of getting out there into a more mainstream audience.
Mhm.
Legacy though is its own thing.
Yep,
Yes.
and so Pandemic is, it wasn't the original cooperative game, but it was the first one that really got a lot of popularity. And the basic mechanic that it's built off of is that you have this deck of city cards, and you're looking at a world map, and only certain cities are going to have these infections coming out. And so when you shuffle the deck and you're revealing them off the top, you end up reshuffling those after they're revealed, and those same cities come back again. So the way that the infections actually hit the board from one game to the next game can vary, and that's kind of like the premise of it. Players on their turns get to do 4 things, which include moving around or treating disease, which takes the disease back off. And you also have to, while you're battling these disease infections, you have to find cures, which is a set collection mechanic. The players actually have their own deck of city cards, it's the same 48 cities, and that you can use that city card to move there or to do something in that city. Or also, the cities are broken into 4 different colors, and so to cure the 4 diseases, you have to collect 5 cards of a color, and that can be hard to do. You have to trade the cards. So there's just a lot you have to do, and also the big thing that gets us is if you draw in through that whole player deck, the game's immediately over. And so sometimes you're playing perfectly, but just not fast enough.
Yeah.
Now
They got us.
the legacy version added another layer to that, and I feel like it was just the perfect thing that the game needed, which was that the result of each game carries over to future games, and it's kind of like a role-playing almost feel to it, where we're making it through this year of crap. Like, the diseases are getting worse. We fought them off.
No spoilers, because you definitely want to go into this game blind. But the legacy modifier means that the game changes each time you play it. You're advancing the story forward, whether you win or whether you lose. Things happen. There are stickers that you put on the board. There are stickers that you can put on cards. There are boxes that you only open once you get to a certain point. And so the game evolves as you play it.
It's a grand adventure.
Up to, yeah, I mean, one of the criticisms of this game is that you can only play it so many times. But really, we've played this game, we played it to its completion, but we still played it more than we played a lot of other games on this list.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's
Except for one.
Just through playing those sessions. So if you have a core dedicated group of players and you like cooperative games, it's totally worth it to give it a shot.
Yeah, I think so. And if you're more of the type of group that just plays occasionally, the regular version of Pandemic is great.
Regular
I highly
Pandemic
recommend
is an
that.
awesome game in its own right. It's a classic totally worth picking up.
Great game.
It's really thematic because there's cells of where the disease is the most rampant, and then the fact that you're reshuffling those into the top of the deck, the infectivity is even more intense in those
Oh, it's a
regions,
great-
and you feel like
it's
the
a great
infection is
engine.
taking over.
Yeah, and actually that mechanic, probably the coolest aspect of it is a city's going to come back. When is it going to come back? Should you prepare for that inevitable infection? You know, if a city already has 3 cubes on it, it's going to outbreak, and that's really bad. So, is it worth that risk
It's
to not
tense.
handle that?
It's very tense.
Yep.
It's great.
Where are
Alright. My number 1, I gotta pee.
we? Set.
Took long enough. Jeez.
Final set, go.
Okay, so, best game ever. Me and Travis have at least played it more than Pandemic Legacy. Last Night on Earth.
I've
Zombie
debated
game.
so hard about putting that one on my list.
Yes. Such a good game. Zombie game. I don't think we've played it.
I'm not playing.
I don't think we played
We
it.
haven't played it as a group, no.
So, the
Todd
basis...
actually has my copy, but
God, it's such good. And he's got it painted too. He actually had somebody painting
the
all the
figurines,
figures.
yeah.
Because it comes with a horde of zombies and a bunch of different characters that you can play. The basis of the game, though, one player plays the zombies, whether it's one person versus another person, or one person versus 2 people.
It's
Once
max is 1 versus 4.
Yeah. but-
Although if it's 1-on-1, it's still 4. That one player is playing 4 heroes,
yeah,
which is a little bit of a drawback to the game. I feel like it works really great as a 2-player game.
yeah.
Whereas if you have some newbie players, they're just going to be getting like advice. Somebody's going to be saying, "Hey, you should do this."
I like 1 versus 2.
1 versus 2 is great. 2 players take 2 characters apiece. The other player plays the zombies.
Yeah, the main reason I like this game is because as a zombie, I've yet to be undefeated.
You're yeah.
I think you said
You're
that
a good.
backwards.
right.
You're yet to be defeated.
But yet to be
You're a good
defeated.
zombie player.
I have been defeated a couple times, but no, I haven't.
It's almost like it's self-contained. You buy the game and you've got everything you need, but it's almost like Dungeons and Dragons in a zombie scenario.
Clue.
I wouldn't say Clue. I would say
Somewhat
Dungeons
Clue-ish.
and Dragons because you're everything's on a grid and you're moving your pieces around and then you're making attacks with dice rolls. It always sort of reminded me of like kind of a straight RPG game, but it is self-contained.
It is.
But really, each game that you play of this could almost be the script for a zombie movie. It's that detailed and
And actually, some of the newer Dungeons and Dragons type games that are more on rails are very much like this.
mhm.
And and basically the everything that you do that needs to be a random outcome is done with dice. So it has
Yes.
that role playing feel to it.
right.
Did you run out of bullets? Roll a die. Did you hit? So I can definitely see that.
It has several scenarios. I think the only reason I left this one off my list is because I put Dead of Winter on. Even though they're not that similar in gameplay, they're both zombie games. I didn't want to overload my list with zombie games.
Sorry, I love this game.
But no,
I can't leave it off. I love
It is excellent, and we should definitely play it as a group
I'd like to try
sometime.
it someday.
Yes, I'll listen.
But yeah, Last on Earth. It's a lot of fun.
Great game.
Okay, well, that's it.
I think that's
That's our list.
That's our-
Thanks for
that's
watching.
Our
Thank you.
list.
All right.
Good game.
Hope you enjoy.
Yeah.
All right.
Come on.